I let my father move in with me because I honestly believed I was doing the right thing. But the moment his wife walked into my home and tried to charge me rent for my own house, something inside me snapped. I don't know if it was the audacity, the disrespect, or just years of biting my tongue finally catching up to me. But I hit my breaking point in a way I never saw coming. And before I tell you everything that happened, let me ask you something right now. If someone moved into your home for free and then tried to make you pay them to live in your own place, what would you do? Would I be wrong for how I reacted? Because even now, I still wonder if I went too far. The story didn't start with conflict. It actually started with guilt. I grew up with a dad who was barely around. He wasn't a bad man, but he was the kind of man who always had an excuse. Too much work, too tired, too stressed, too overwhelmed. Whatever the situation was, he had a reason he couldn't show up. Birthdays, missed a lot of them. School events. I learned early on not to even ask, but I kept trying. I kept hoping he would eventually step up, especially after he remarried a woman named Sheila when I was 17. Sheila was complicated. She acted warm, but it felt like the kind of warmth you get from a heated blanket that someone forgot to plug in. All show, no substance. Every time she smiled, it felt like she was mentally calculating something. I could never shake the feeling that she didn't see me as a person, but more like a variable in an equation she planned to solve later. My dad changed after marrying her, not completely, but enough that I noticed. He became someone who agreed with her even when it made no sense. If she didn't like something, he suddenly didn't like it either. If she was upset, he was upset. If she wanted something, he bent over backwards to give it to her. I used to think it was love, but years later I realized it was something closer to fear mixed with dependence. Like he was terrified that she might leave him, or worse, that she might withdraw whatever emotional support she gave him. I didn't understand it then, but I do now. When I turned 28, I finally managed to buy my own house. Not a mansion, not something fancy, just a solid, comfortable place with a small yard and a spare bedroom. I was proud of it. I worked like hell for it. Long hours, multiple jobs at one point, saving every penny. I sacrificed vacations, dinners out, and pretty much all social life just to get to that point. When I walked into that house for the first time as the owner, I cried. Not a little tear down. The cheek cry, no. It was an ugly, messy cry that came from relief and exhaustion and pride all at once. My dad congratulated me over the phone. Sheila didn't say anything except, "Houses are a lot of work, you know." She made it sound like I bought a burden, not a milestone. I brushed it off. 2 months after I moved in, I got a call from my dad that I didn't expect. He was quiet, defeated. I could hear something different in his voice, something that made my chest tighten before he even explained what was going on. He and Sheila were having financial issues, big ones. He danced around details, but from what I gathered, Sheila overspent, bills piled up, and the place they were renting was too expensive. They were going to be evicted in a few weeks unless they found somewhere to go. He didn't ask me directly. He hinted, he hesitated. He talked in circles like a man ashamed of what he needed. And eventually I said it for him. "Dad, you can come stay with me." He exhaled like those words physically lifted a weight off his shoulders. I told him he could stay for a few months while he got back on his feet. I meant it. I was happy to help him. I didn't want to see him homeless, but then he said something I didn't expect. Sheila too, right? My stomach nodded, but I told him yes. I wasn't going to leave his wife on the street, even if she treated me like a footnote whenever it suited her. I knew it would be uncomfortable, but I thought it would be temporary. I thought it would be manageable. I was wrong. Sheila arrived first. She didn't even knock. She walked into my house like she owned it, looked around and said, "Huh, smaller than I thought. No thank you." No gratitude, not even an acknowledgement that she was stepping into someone else's space. My dad came later with a single suitcase and the same apologetic expression he always had whenever she was involved. I gave them the spare room. Sheila didn't like it. She complained about the mattress, the window placement, the closet size, the color of the walls. She complained about the temperature, the lighting, the flooring. She complained about my kitchen organization. She complained about the fact that I didn't have certain brands of groceries she liked. What she did not complain about was the cost, because she wasn't paying anything. Not a cent, not for food, not for utilities, not for anything. I tried to stay patient, but within a week, my home didn't feel like mine anymore. Sheila rearranged things without asking. She moved my spices, she moved my furniture. She even threw out some of my dishes because she said they were cheap. She invited people over without telling me her sister, her cousin, one of her friends. My dad just followed her around silently, like a shadow who didn't want to make noise. And then came the day that changed everything. It was a Sunday morning. I was sitting at the dining table drinking coffee, enjoying a rare quiet moment, when Sheila strutted in holding a piece of paper like it was a golden ticket. She slid it onto the table in front of me and said, "We need to go over the household expenses." I blinked. "What are you talking about?" She crossed her arms. "Well, obviously you can't expect us to live here without contributing properly. And since you're the homeowner, it's only fair that you pay rent to offset the costs." I laughed because I thought she was joking. She wasn't. She pointed to the paper. It was a homemade spreadsheet with 3 columns labeled expenses, responsibility, and amount, under amount. There were 3 numbers, one for her, one for my dad, and one for me. My number was twice as high as theirs. "You're charging me rent for my house?" I asked. She shrugged. "Technically, it's fair. You have the most space and the most control. Paying rent will balance the dynamic." I stared at her like she had grown another head. "This is my house. Why would I pay you rent to live in my own home?" She gave me this condescending look. "It's not about ownership. It's about fairness." My dad stood behind her, avoiding eye contact, not saying a word. And something inside me snapped, not loudly, quietly, like a rope that had been fraying for years finally giving up with a soft, final break. I told Sheila that the conversation was over, and that the idea was insane. She got angry. She said I was being unreasonable. She said I was disrespecting her. She said I was acting entitled. She went on and on while my dad sat there like a man who'd forgotten how to speak. Over the next few days, things got worse. She kept bringing it up. She tried to guilt-trip me. She tried to convince my dad to take her side. She tried to pick fights. One night I overheard her telling my dad that I owed them because family helps family, and since they were sharing the space, I should pay. The entitlement was unbelievable. About a month after they moved in, I reached the engagement loop moment, though I didn't call it that in my head at the time. I was sitting alone in my room wondering what to do. I felt trapped, uncomfortable, and angry in my own home, and Sheila kept pushing boundaries like she wanted to claim the place piece by piece. She stopped asking before changing things. She started telling me what groceries to buy. She rearranged my pantry. She criticized the way I folded towels. She made comments about how a house like this would sell fast, as if she was evaluating real estate. So let me stop here and ask you what I asked myself. What would you do if you were in my shoes? If someone moved into your home, lived for free, and then told you to pay them rent for the privilege of staying in your own property, would you snap? Would you kick them out? Before I tell you what happened next, I genuinely want to know. What would you have done? Because what I did changed everything. A few days later, I woke up to find Sheila screaming. Not angry screaming, panic screaming. I ran downstairs thinking someone was hurt, but instead, I found Sheila staring at the living room wall with her hands in her hair. She was yelling, "Where is it? Where did it go?" I didn't know what she meant until she pointed at the blank space where a painting I owned used to hang. It was a piece I bought years ago from a local artist, not expensive, but sentimental. A landscape that reminded me of a place my mom used to take me before she passed. Sheila had taken it down, except I didn't know that until she said, "I moved it to the garage because it clashed with the energy of the room, and someone must have stolen it." Something inside me detonated, not softly, not quietly, not politely. I felt this wave of anger rise in me so fast I didn't have time to filter it. I told her she had no right to touch my things, she argued. I yelled. She yelled louder. My dad tried to calm her down, but she snapped at him too. Finally, I said the words I had been swallowing for weeks. Both of you need to leave, today." Sheila froze. "You're kicking us out, after everything we've done for you." I couldn't help it. I laughed. "What exactly have you done for me?" She started listing things. Ridiculous things, things like bringing structure, helping the energy flow, creating a shared financial plan, and making improvements. I told her again, "Get out." My dad looked heartbroken, but he didn't fight it. Sheila, though she fought, she screamed, she insulted me. She told me I was ungrateful. She told me she would call the police. I told her to go ahead. She didn't. I gave them 30 minutes to pack what they brought. Sheila kept yelling. My dad whispered "I'm sorry" at least 15 times. I told him I loved him, but I couldn't live like that. I couldn't let her take over my home and expect me to pay for it. When they finally left, Sheila shouted from the driveway, "You're going to regret this." But I didn't. The aftermath was quiet, uncomfortably quiet at first. I walked around the house and realized how much tension I'd been carrying just by existing near them. I found my painting in the garage under a pile of their boxes. I fixed my furniture. I reorganized my kitchen. I put my spices back where they belonged. For the first time in a month, I breathed. My dad reached out a few weeks later. Not to ask for anything, just to talk. He apologized. He admitted Sheila pushed things too far. He admitted he should have said something earlier. Their marriage didn't survive much longer. I wasn't surprised. Sheila texted me once, months later, a short message. "You ruined everything." I blocked her. My home feels like mine again. Peaceful, safe, mine. And the whole experience taught me something I think a lot of people learn too late. Just because someone is family doesn't mean they get to trample your boundaries. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is slam the door they walked through. So I'll end with this. If you were on my side, like this video, if you think I did the right thing by taking back my home, hit that subscribe button for more stories like this. And let me know in the comments what would you have done if someone tried to charge you rent for your own house. I'll see you all in the next story.